Alrighty, guys, we are back. Community member interview, another one. This one's a little special though, because it's Diego first of all, but um, Diego's got. We were just chatting about it. Diego's gotten a result that is like truly impressive in the time frame that he's been able to do it. So, Diego, thank you for coming on, man.
Appreciate you for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
So, quick rundown. Actually, I'll let you tell the story, Diego. But you've only been in the community for how long now? About
I probably joined in like mid March, so probably like March 15th. So March 15th till now, about two
almost three
months.
months.
Yeah, almost
Yeah,
3 months now.
cool. And we'll talk about progressing through the community. But before we do, if you guys have not or do not know this already, the reason why we're here is because Diego had an awesome month in his first month. If you clicked on this, you probably have an idea of what that is. But you didn't really have a crazy extensive sales background like some people do. Can you like take us back to what you were up to before all this?
Yeah, so definitely like before this, it was I was actually working at Chase. I was a bank teller. So for the most part, I was in college. I was just trying to figure out like what I wanted to do. I was looking for a cash vehicle to kind of basically something to get better at. I applied everywhere. I applied to tech jobs. I applied to different types of sales roles. I got denied by all of them. It was a long kind of period, like after college, where I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do. So pretty much right after college, started working at Target. I was like, we're at the bottom again. Nothing wrong with the retail job, but I was like, you're probably not going to get anywhere with this. So I was like, okay, I got to figure something out. Started throwing my resumes out there. I was like, okay, I need to make something work. So I applied to the banks, and I was like, okay, this will probably get me like the foot into sales roles, just because you already kind of slinging credit cards, you're already talking about different packages, stuff like that. And then once I got the teller role, that's pretty much what I was doing all day. I was just talking to people. So I kind of felt like sales was the next progression of after being at the bank. You could even go into sales in the bank, but it was just a little too bureaucratic for me. It was a little felt boxed in. You didn't have that much room or freedom to talk in certain ways. You have to be very, I guess, PC, which is fine. It's a bank job, but I thought like the next progression would probably be sales. And I'm too like I'm pretty introverted for the most part. Like I'm not like an extroverted individual for the most part. I'll be talking to people. I can have good conversations, but sales is kind of like the last thing I thought I would do. But it was one of the only vehicles that I was like, okay, like you can actually make some good money with sales, especially
Mm-hmm.
if you can just have like a conversation with somebody. No crazy pressure. Don't be like a car salesman type vibe. Just talk to them. That's all it really is at the end of the day. It's just like a problem solving conversation.
Yeah, that I mean, I don't know if we've talked about it before, but that was kind of my situation too. Like I never thought I'd be in sales, and then I guess I could ask you, but the way that I found out that maybe I should try it is I was in a job where I saw the types of people that were in sales, and I was like, dude, like they're literally no different than me. This guy's. I went on a an appointment when I was in roofing sales with one of the advisors, and I remember him. Hopefully, he's not watching this. I don't think he would be. I remember him presenting an estimate after we had done our whole inspection and all that, and he was at the counter. He's like kind of shaking, like his voice was shaking, and he had been doing this for like a year at that company, and he was making like literally twice, if not three times the money that I was making. And I was like, dude, this guy's about to like break out in tears. Like, if he can do this and make,
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't know, he was definitely clearing six figures. I was like, dude, like, why can't I do it? I was actually like, as an introvert or whatever, I was like, kind of embarrassed. I was like, it's like, bro, like, what are you doing right now? Like, just talk to him like a normal person, right? But what was it for you that like put it into your mind that hey, this might be something that I could do and be good at, given the more like reserved personality?
I would probably say like being introverted. I don't even want to say like because people always box in themselves like, oh, like I'm introverted, extroverted. I don't think it's really like you're one or the other. Like it definitely is dynamic. Like if you're a person who's introverted, you might just like get more energy from being by yourself. You recharge, you still go hang out with people. you're pretty social. As long as you can keep like a basic conversation, I actually kind of feel like introverts have an advantage just because you already, how you operate is probably how the other person operates as well. A lot of people are not extroverted by nature for the most part. Usually, too, the prospects that you're talking to are not extroverted. So for the most part, I feel like you can kind of get in their shoes and also feel for different types of roles. And you can also kind of play like the chameleon. So you can kind of fake it out and play, I guess, like different roles. I guess you want to say like role play.
Yeah.
But it's not really like black and white. You can always put yourself in their shoes and just kind of talk to them. I just kind of frame it as I'm literally just talking to the person. I don't want to keep it too salesy in my mind, like, oh, I'm trying to sell them something. I'm just trying to see if I can solve their problem and then bridge the gap between the two. I think you just have to keep it simple.
Yeah, I think there's a distinction that needs to be made between being an introvert and being socially awkward because they're not always the same thing. They can be depending on who you ask, but like I've talked to a lot of people, man, that want to get into sales or that are already in sales, and it's like a completely different thing because like I've always considered, and I don't even consider myself an introvert anymore. I think I just know how to listen, but previously I always considered myself an introvert, but I'd never had a problem like holding a conversation that I wanted to have,
Yeah.
you know? And so that is something where it's like, all right, dude, if the reason you are introverted is because you like literally cannot hold a conversation, you might actually have a more difficult time getting into
Yeah.
this. You might want to go like be a coder or something, learn some other high income skill. But well, that's interesting because I feel like, a lot of these interviews that we run, guys that are doing well pretty quickly, it's like I'm seeing more and more people that are coming in on that more like reserved, introverted side. But I agree with it, man. I think if you can ultimately listen effectively and, by saying less, naturally your words have more presence when you say them, like you'll probably do better in a sales context. But so you're basically in this job, which you've described to me before as like pretty brutal given the area that you were working in and just like the nature of the job. Um, and then you mentioned you had tried to apply to some other sales jobs, just nothing was sticking. How did you how did you land on the like high ticket sales space? Did you like catch something on YouTube or an Instagram ad, or like how did that happen?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've kind of always been in the, like, I guess you could say like money space. I've always tried looking at different stuff like SMMA. There's drop shipping. I think everybody goes down those routes. I tried to do in college like an SMMA like agency. Didn't work out. I didn't know how to fulfill a service. I sucked at it, but I was calling people all the time. So I kind of felt like that was the beginning of like, okay, maybe I could do sales. Maybe I could do something. Because just because I'm not good at fulfilling the product, it's like I just didn't know what I was doing, and I
Yeah.
already had like a full schedule. So I was like, you know what, maybe I'll try sales, something like that. Let's try tech sales. And then after college, that's kind of when I started to go down the rabbit hole. And for the most part, I kind of didn't think I was actually going to get into sales. It was just kind of like a shoulda, coulda, woulda. Like it would be pretty cool. I'm pretty introverted. Maybe that's not going to fit me. I was like, you know what, let's just take a shot. Like usually when I do things, I'm going to go all the way. So I'm probably just going to like burn the bridges and just go all in. And if nothing
Hmm.
works out, it's like you only learn from it really. So I think
Yeah.
just really just jumping full all the way in and just baptizing yourself into the experience, that's the only way to do it.
Yeah. How did you I feel like I might know the answer, but how did you originally come across like the community that I've been running, and what was like as you did look into that, what was it that you saw that you were like, all right, this isn't like complete and utter garbage. Like maybe I should look into it.
Yeah, it was the it actually came on my algorithm on YouTube. It was the Grant Landon. I'm pretty sure it was, yeah, it was the Grant Landon video. I saw it a while ago. I probably watched that one like 2 or 3 times.
Nice.
So much sauce in that video. It was crazy. I was just
Yeah.
like, you know what? I was like, he's going crazy on this. And two, like I was also watching like the other interviews in the community, and I was just like, these people obviously they're doing great. They're doing really well, but who's to say I can't do it? Like I'm gonna try to do the thing that they're doing. If I can just copy them, or if I can pay my way in there to just get a shot, that's all it, like that's all I need to take. I
Yeah.
just need one shot, and then from there it's just like just go hard as you can, constantly learning reps. It's like going to the gym, man. Like you're not gonna be able to push 300 pounds at first, but you eventually just start getting used to it, get used to your flow, change how you speak, and not everybody's going to like you too. I think that's the main part, especially at the bank job. It's just like constantly meeting different types of people. Everybody's different. You're going to have different types of conversations. You're going to be talking to a lot of people that don't like you. There's going to be a lot of people that are indifferent, and there's going to be people that love you. So it's like it's
Yeah.
just very varied. You just kind of have to be able to adapt to the situations.
Yeah. When you decided like, okay, I want to be part of this industry now, before you joined the community, were you doing anything to attempt to get into it? Were you doing outreach or anything, or was joining the community like your official start to going after it?
The joining the community was just my straight ticket in. I was just like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna burn the ships behind me, take my money, Dylan. I was like, let's go. Let's just get started as soon as possible.
Yeah. Um, and then I remember I can't remember the exact timeline, but one of the things that like stood out from you, which is also what I did, is like I basically got in a little bit into the space. Like I had a small grip of like what it took, and then I quit my job. And I remember you. I think you probably put in 2 week notice. Like you did it the right way, but you had done that. I think before you really had anything lined up. Is that right?
Yeah, I just pretty much went gung ho. I was just like, you know what? I was like, if I'm gonna do this, I was looking at the stuff. It has everything that you have everything mapped out on there, which was really nice. So I'd look at it before work. I would look at it after work, and I was like, okay, like how do we ramp this up as soon as possible? And what is going to make me perform? And essentially, it's like I'm not a person to kind of do stuff halfway. Like I'm going to go all the way. So I was like, if I'm going to do this, I want to completely commit to this role or anything. If I get anything, I didn't even know. I just wanted to commit, put in my 2 weeks, and I was like, okay, now I don't have a choice. Like I have to make this work. So for the
Yeah.
most part, it was just back against the wall. Just do your thing, focus, and then it'll be okay. And if nothing works out, I mean, I can always get another job.
Yeah. Did you so I guess like up until this point it hasn't been mentioned, but the job that you ended up landing was actually directly through our sales agency. So Diego and I are working together, not like extremely closely, but like we're in group chats, we're talking back and forth pretty often. Um, but before that, had you like what was your experience between joining the community and then coming on to this team that we're on? Um, were you taking interviews? Like how many applications, how many interviews were you going through before like you got the job here?
I'm not even gonna lie. I think I sent out like maybe 13 applications. It was really not that. I didn't really send that many out. I was just kind of throwing them out. I just started, and then you offered me a position. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take it. I was like, hell with the other ones. I'm going in with this one. I was like,
Yeah.
if he just gave me the value that was in here that I already checked out, I was like, I'm just gonna go with this one. It's already dialed. It's probably gonna turn out pretty well.
Yeah. No, it's an awesome story, man, because like for one, there's guys that come in with a lot of sales experience and they struggle. And you came in, not to say it's going to be all like sunshines and rainbows forever, but um, like you came in and you were kind of just like right place, right time. And you and I, like, we had done some one on one, and that's why you were on my radar because I do one on ones with everybody, and I kind of keep note of like who I think like has a lot of potential. And whenever you said something about you quitting your job, I was like, this guy's bought in and he seems like he's just like ready to go, like, you know, willing to give it his all. And I was like, this is exactly what an appointment setter should be. Um, and then also the fact that you're not like an 18-year-old kid, like you have like professional workplace experience, which like I've made videos on this, but like when I'm looking for hiring, especially recruiting, it's like, dude, I'd rather hire someone like you who's like all in. You're in a situation where like you can only really gain, um and you're just like you want to work. A lot of these kids that get into it, it's like they're getting into it because they think it's easy and they want like a part-time 20K a month or something.
Yeah.
um so no, I mean, all that being said, another reason why this is like it's pretty cool is because I think you're the first appointment setter in our agency to have a $10,000 commission month. um And dude, that's more than a lot of closers make, you know? So
Still blows me away. I'm not gonna lie to you.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
crazy.
it's it's pretty insane, man, and it's it's cool to be able to pull directly from the community and get someone in there because like we'll recruit people from outside too if we can't find specific experience. But yeah, I mean, I'm just glad it worked out the way that it did. But I do want to talk about as well because I think you we were talking about it before. You have pretty much like I would say 4 to 6 months experience, like condensed into like a 1.5, 2 month period. Um, can you share a little bit of your insight from never like I guess being a bank teller, like not being an appointment setter, to being thrown into the deep end as the only setter on an offer with like 3 or 4 closers, and then basically working 7 days a week until we got your support system in play, or we got another setter, and then now doing what you're doing. Like, it kind of walk us through that journey, what it's been like, how you push through all that stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was a lot of coffee. Just to be clear with that, coffee is definitely a help. For the most part, I think really just like getting in there and just obviously the money's great. It's cool. Like it, I kind of think like at the end of the day, it's like obviously people are in sales to make money. It's a financial goal, but you should do the thing and just try to see like how you can progress. Like for the most part, people are like, oh, like I want to make 10K per month, 20K per month. I just say like forget that, just detach from the money, get good at the role first. Like you should be able to do the proper things, make sure you oil the machine properly, and just also being able to learn from each call because everybody has something to teach you. Like those little calls where it's like people chew you out over the phone, you can learn something from that. People that you have a great call with, you can learn something from that. You can kind of always carry like a nugget from each thing, and once you kind of collect your marbles in your jar, like you eventually kind of just get some like intuitive approaches of like how to go about things. Like I'm not the most charismatic person ever like on the phone. I'm not some crazy like Chad just hey yo let me slang these deals, like get on there, get on these, hop on this meeting. But for the most part, I really just do think it's about getting into the other person's shoes and just getting out of your own head and just trying to fulfill their problem because they don't care about you. For the
Yeah.
most part, it's just talking and just kind of figure out what their issues are, what their stresses are. Everybody has problems at the end of the day. It's like even if they're better problems than other people's, everybody's trying to solve a problem in their life and they're just trying to get that figured out. So if you can bridge the gap between the two, both parties are happy. That's essentially all you want to do at the end of the day. So that's kind of what I focused on. I just kind of forgot about the money. Don't look at it too much because you're going to get stressed out, but it's also like it'll come if you're good at what you do.
Hmm.
Just keep dialing the phone to like indomitable human spirit, just slam the phone as
Yeah.
many times as you can, get as many dials as you can while still kind of keeping your morale up because you can get a lot of no's. I think
Hmm.
the rejection for the most part is the something not everybody takes lightly. I mean, it's fine over the phone. Just don't take it personal. They could just be tired that day or they got something going on or they have work, but you're going to get a lot of people that are pretty angry or just don't want to talk to you, and that's cool too. You're going to get
Yeah.
a lot of cool people.
What's been interesting question here. What's been like the biggest unforeseen hardship within the role, and then what's been something that was easier than you thought it would be?
So, hardship, that's a good question. I would say probably like the transition when I first started, just because everything kind of felt pretty abstracted. I think with anything that's new, it's pretty uncomfortable. But I think really just getting like your flow down of like how you're going to talk to people. I don't like scripts are cool. I feel like you shouldn't have a script because you just sound super robotic. I think it's actually kind of better to sound a little awkward sometimes, or even if like you throw a joke in there, that's cool too. It just kind of makes you sound more human. Because I feel like if you're reading off a script, you're like, "Oh, hello, sir. Like, I am here to help you. Please get on a meeting." Like, it sounds robotic. It doesn't even sound natural or authentic. For
Yeah.
the most part, it's just being able to talk to them like as a human. Just like, "Hey, do you need this? You opted in. Are you interested? This could probably help you out with this thing that you're trying to get away from." And for the most part, like I would say probably the thing that I thought was easier was just getting on the phone. I thought I was going to be kind of like scared to get on the phone like all day. I'm like, you just get used to it. It's just reps. I mean, obviously you're going to be nervous on calls. That's
Hmm.
fine, but you just get used to it in the beginning. Like again, I'm pretty introverted, so I was just kind of like, this is completely out of my nature to being on the phone. But it's the same as talking to somebody like over the like teller like at the bank. I'm even talking to you right now. It's the same thing,
Yeah.
except it's just over the phone.
Yeah, you get used to it, man. Like I did door to door, and there's a saying, it's like the hardest door to open is the car door, like to get out of the car.
Yeah.
And once you get going, like door to door, man, is tough. Like I'm in Texas. We had hailstorms, and like neighborhoods would flood out with roofers, and we would go up and knock on doors that we know for a fact had already been knocked 5 times by other roofers. And as like an introvert, it's like you either do that and make your money or attempt to make your money, or like you go find another job. It's like, well, it's like, am I going to let this one scary task, like, be what gets between me and a 6-figure income? Like,
Yeah.
hell no. Like, I'm not going to go, because the alternative is like, I studied project management. I was like, okay, go back to $18 an hour, and I don't speak Spanish, so like hang out with crews that I can't even communicate with all day. um I probably could have learned, but
You could pick it
yeah,
up pretty quick. You got it.
yeah, for sure. And that, like, I would say, like, in this interview is a little bit different too, because like you are on our team, and so I can like really recollect like how you've been able to do what you do. And like, I would say for anyone that's listening and you want to you want to be taken seriously, like you want, even though if you are like the lower, you're not like a closer, but you're an appointment setter, you want to be taken seriously, and you want to be like a valuable member of the team. Like, I would say what Diego's done is like just shown consistent effort, even when things aren't black and white, even when they're gray. Like, we had an issue where our phones weren't working, and so he took it upon himself to go find an alternative way to call people, and then set that up. And then we're like, oh shoot, dude, like, let us know how much it was so we can pay you. um, and then he helps like train people, and we will pay him extra for that. But he does all this stuff without us asking him to do it, and it's like, well, shit, let's pay him more to do that. um, and that's why it's like, I mean, if you're a good appointment setter, I would almost say you're arguably more valuable than a good closer, because a good closer, like, there's a lot of them out there. But because appointment setting is kind of sold as like this mass market biz op to anyone that has a living pulse, there's so much noise in the market.
Yeah.
And to be a good appointment setter, like, it's extremely valuable to a company. So if you are an appointment setter, or you're hoping to be one, like, literally just act like it's your own business. Do whatever you think it takes to get the job done, and like, don't think too much about it. I think a lot of appointment setters, because they are naturally like younger, maybe less experienced, like, they think too much. Whereas um I feel like with you, Diego, it's just like, I don't know if this is gonna work, but I'm gonna try it. And then if it doesn't work, it's like, okay, I'm gonna try this. Like, you're always like making progress. And then another thing I'll say, I'm just bragging about you right now. Another thing that I'll say is, there has never been a time, and I'm not the one directly like managing the sales team here. It's Cole, our partner, but there's never been a time where Cole and I are like, huh, I wonder if Diego's working right now. It's like, I wonder if Diego's getting those leads that are coming in. I wonder if he's like confirming calls, because we'll even be on team meetings, and it's and we'll run a little bit over, and then he's like, oh, by the way, like, closer, like, you got to go, this guy's in the Google Meet, um stuff like that. So like, there's never a question of like if the job is getting done, which is like, I've worked with a lot of appointment setters, man, and I would say 80% of them, you have to stay on them, or you're not going to get what you were hoping to get from them. So yeah, I guess effort, getting the job done. I think, the team that we're running, we've got a pretty strong culture there, which definitely helps, and it also helps when you're making a lot of money.
Everybody's
Um,
dope. Everybody's pretty cool. The chemistry is great on the team for sure. I feel like
Yeah.
that's definitely something that adds to it. Like it's not only the indomitable human spirit of just dialing on the phone all day, but it's also like they're doing their part as well. It's not just
Yeah.
me just calling like, oh, hey, bring them up. It's a whole team effort. So everybody's dialed, the machine's working perfectly, and also too like everybody's learning from each other, and it's pretty dynamic. And they're funny dudes. Like everybody's nice, everybody's cool, but they're also very focused, which is a nice refresher. So it's not always like can always like laugh and whatnot, have some good conversations, but it's also like let's get to work, let's do it.
Yeah.
The team is for sure dialed.
Yeah, dude. It's a hard balance to strike from a management perspective, but I think it does help when you take the extra steps to get the right people in place from the beginning. Because, dude, I've been on closing teams as a closer where like nobody gives a shit and they're not going to go above and beyond. Like, dude, we got guys that are working 12-hour days, 7 days a week because they want to. Like, we're trying to give them time off. They don't want it. Um,
Machines,
like closing,
crazy.
like actually you, I mean, you're in California, so it's a little different, but like we got some guys on East Coast that are up until 1 a.m. like closing deals.
Shout
Um,
out David.
it's freaking insane. Yeah. So, um, yeah, man, I guess what would you say? All right, three biggest tips. Let's say there's someone in your position. They're working like a client facing job in a different industry, and they want to get into this space. Uh, and make money online, regardless of the role or how much. Like they just want to like get in this space and have some success. What are like the three biggest things that you'd recommend for that person to do?
That's a good question. I would probably say the biggest one is don't be afraid. Like, in my opinion, there's no such thing as security. So if you're going to do something, go all in or don't do it. There's some people that maybe that's like a little too extreme for some, but I do feel like if you want to learn something and you truly want to try to get good at it, put your all into it. Like some people, I don't know why they expect to get like a ton of money back or just making a ton of money only working a little bit. Like you should be doing all you can. I would even say get obsessed with it. For the most part, it's like being obsessed with something that could be a blessing and a curse, but that'll really help you and really push you against those who are not really trying. It's really just a game of endurance at the end of the day. Being able to talk to people, being able to have like your, even when you're not feeling it, that's probably when you're really tested the most. Just do the thing. It's pretty
Yeah.
simple, like just saying that, but when you're actually doing, making all your calls, it's like you're going to have days where you don't feel like doing it at all, or it's just even stuff that didn't land that you thought was going to land. It's not always going to work out. Just show up. So I would
Yeah.
just probably say show up, do your best, as corny as that sounds. Just do what you can. If you're not feeling great that day or just the sauce is not there, still show up. It'll pay off. It's like you'll be surprised. Like some of your bad days might be some of your best days. Like I've had some of those where I just felt like absolute garbage, but you still show up. Best day. So it's
Yeah,
really just it's up in the air for the most part.
for sure. Yeah, that's pretty. I feel like sales is just about like doing the inputs, man. Like unless there's something really wrong with you, you just do the inputs for long enough, and
It
you
starts
should be
working
able
out
to hopefully, assuming you're in a good vehicle, because the vehicle is also very important. I've seen awesome salespeople struggle a lot to make $10,000 a month, and I've seen a lot of people get really lucky, like actual luck, like people that stumble over their words a lot and I'm not gonna say should not be making 10,000 a month, but like I've seen guys make ridiculous money with very little skill. So, um, anyways, if you're new, Diego's been, a really great example of what you should try to do, especially as an appointment setter. Um, I think that's a good place to wrap it. Uh, Diego, if you want me to direct people to you, I can drop your stuff in the description here. Otherwise,
for
you want to
sure.
get connected with guys like Diego, guys like Ty. I just dropped the interview with him like 3-4 days ago.
Shout out Ty.
Yeah, join the community. There's a lot of guys in there doing awesome things, very tight knit, and we can end it there. But appreciate you coming on, Diego.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, Dylan. Peace.